Hi there, and welcome to this special video edition of Barbarian Meets Coding. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can improve your front-end development workflow by using this amazing tool called Yeoman. And in the upcoming weeks, I will be writing a series of articles in my blog where I will go diving deeper into each component of Yeoman and helping you elevate your front-end workflow. Let's get started. So, Yeoman is a set of tools that allow you to improve your front-end development workflow by automating all those tasks that you usually do manually, but that could be very well automated. Yeoman is composed by three different set of tools: scaffolding tools, building systems, and package managers. Scaffolding tools like Yo help you when generating code. It can help you generate a whole web application with your predefined conventions. It can help you generate smaller components within your current web application, like an Angular directive or a knockout component. Building systems or task automation systems like Grant help you define a series of automated tasks that then you can run on demand. Tasks such as running your unit tests, minifying your JavaScript, minifying your CSS, um, compiling your Sass, compiling your less, and stuff like that. And finally, package managers like Bower that help you manage your application dependencies and very easily install third-party libraries such as jQuery or Knockout. So all these tools are built on top of Node. So if you want to use Yeoman, you're going to need to install Node first. And I will guide you through how to do that in my article. But for this video, I will presume or assume that you already have Node installed. So let's show some of the features I was talking about in the beginning. I'm going to showcase some of these features in Yeoman by creating a very simple app. We're going to create an app that's going to allow you to save your favorite quotes from the internet. Okay, so I'm going to go to the terminal and I'm going to install Yeoman by using the npm, the Node Package Manager. So we run npm install globally yo, bower, and grunt. I'm going to run those commands. It's going to take a couple of minutes. And when it's ready, we're going to also use npm to install the Angular generator. So generator Angular. Yo has the concept of generators, which are like recipes to scaffold apps for you. So there's a generator for Angular, there is a generator for Knockout, and there are a lot of community contributed generators that you can use to scaffold your apps. So now that it's installed, you can use the command yo Angular. Wait, I want to first create a new folder for my favorite quotes app. And I run yo Angular. And now yo is going to make some questions. They want to use Compass. I say yes. Bootstrap yes. Sass version of Bootstrap yes. Select these components that comes by default. And Yeoman is going to scaffold an app for me. It's going to take a couple of minutes, perhaps 1 minute or so. And when it's ready, we will have a folder structure with our Angular app. So now that it's ready, if I look at the folder, I have an app folder where I have my app, Bower components, no modules or dependencies, package.json, Bower JSON, dependencies information, Grunt file, our automated tasks, and a test folder for our unit tests. So let's run grunt serve, which is going to spin up a server for us. And voila, here we have our app created and running on a server. If we look here in Sublime, you can see that we have all these folders here, and we have successfully scaffolded our web app. The next thing is live reload. Live reload allows you to enable a very sweet workflow in which the changes that you make in the source code are automatically reflected in your browser. I'm going to change some HTML here and see that this is the main page. It says hello, hello. So I'm going to change this for my favorite quotes with Yeoman. As I save this, you're going to see how automatically the browser has refreshed itself and is now showing my code. If you want this with HTML, you can do this with JavaScript, and you can do this with Sass. So I'm going to open also my styles that you're using Bootstrap. And I'm going to go to the Jumbotron. It's somewhere here. Yes. I'm going to change the background color to red. It's Christmas. Save. Now it's going to compile my CSS. It's going to take a little bit. Compilation step. And now I can see how I change border color instead of background color. I change the background color instead. Background color, Jamie. Save this. I'm going to take some seconds to compile the Sass, and bam, the red color in the background. You can see, if you go back to the terminal, you can see how it says, okay, we have detected changes in your main CSS. So we're going to compile it again for you. And it tells you that it took like 1 second and 200 milliseconds. So that's how you get constant or instant updates in your browser with Yeoman. The next thing is how to scaffold components. Okay, let's start by adding some code to our code sample here, so we can start saving quotes and displaying those quotes to the user. So I'm going to start by using some magic here called copy pasting to get some of the code on the screen. So let's remove this HTML. Okay, and so now we have some basic controls to add a quote and an author and a repeat anti-repeat directive to display them to the user. But there's nothing in the controller yet, so we'll need to add that as well. So I'm going to go to main.js and I'm going to remove this tab. Okay, and now we're exposing a series of collection of quotes, an array, through the scope. So now we can see that we have some quotes being displayed here. And let's improve those styles. So I'm going to go to the Sass file and I'm going to add some styles for those quotes. Okay, so now I have the styles here. Just save, and it should compile my Sass file and reflect the changes in the HTML file in the web page. Oh, I have forgotten to add the quote class, so I can fix that super quick. Let's go here to use class quote. Good, so I get my styles. If I add a new quote, hello, says Jamie, and I add that, I can see that it's displayed at the end of the list. Okay, so now is when we're gonna use scaffolding. So let's say that we want to make this web page more semantic. So instead of having a quote displayed as a div with some paragraphs in it, we want to create our own quote element. And to do that, we're going to create a directive. And to do that, we're going to use the Angular generator. So each generator that we define in Jo has the power to scaffold a complete new app, and also usually contains a series of sub generators that allow you to create smaller components within a web app. And in the case of the Angular generator, we have all these sub generators like controller, directive, filter, etc. that allow you to create smaller pieces. In this case, we're going to use the Angular directive, and you can see how you use it here. Just use yo Angular colon directive, and then you give the name of the new directive. And I'm going to do that here in the console. So we go yo Angular directive quote. And it's going to create a couple of files for me. One is the directive itself, and the other one are the unit tests for it. So I go back to Sublime, open code.js. I can see that I have some code here for a directive. So I'm going to make a very simple directive that's only going to have a template with a couple of paragraphs to show the text of the quote and the author of the quote. Oops. And the author of the quote, and to have its own scope with the text and the author. Go to the main view. I'm going to replace this for the actual quote element. Say quote text bound to the text of the quote, and author bound to the author of the quote. I'm going to say probably the styles will break. Yeah, the styles broke, but the data is still there. Go to the main CSS file. I'm going to change this to target the quote element instead of the quote style of the quote class. Go back, remove this class that no longer is needed, and now we can see that everything's working as before. We have a more semantic HTML, and this is how you use Yo to scaffold smaller components within an application. The next thing that I wanted to show you is how to run your tests with Yeoman. In addition to scaffolding your app, Yo also creates a Karma configuration file that you can use to run your tests. So if we look here in the root folder, we can see we have a test folder. Look inside the test folder, we see that we have a Karma configuration file. Let's look what's inside. So you have a complete configuration to run Karma. So let's run Karma. I already have it installed in the system, so I just need to say Karma start and point to the configuration file. And it starts running. And you'll see that it's telling me that you have 2 tests failing. So I updated my code, didn't update my test, and that's why we have this problem. So let's go and look at those tests and see what's going on with them. So I'm going to main.js, but this time in the spec folder instead of the main source code folder. We can see that we have some tests here and saying, okay, you have these tests for the controller, main controller, and we have an it should attach a list of awesome things to scope. So let's change this test, and let's say that we have to attach a list of quotes to the scope. And let's just change this for quotes. And now, if you go back to the test runner, we can see that one of the tests that was failing before now is running. So it's going to be running in the background, and you're just going to be writing tests, seeing it pass. And so this enables a very nice TDD workflow where you can write your test, try your code, try your test, try your code, red, green, refactor, and all that. So let's fix that other test that we have there. That is the test for the directive. So again, a spec folder for code.js. You can see that it says, so it should make a hidden element visible. So this test is expecting to have a quote element with this text content inside, but it's no longer the case. So I'm going to change it to reflect reality. And the reality is that we have a text and an author inside the quote element. And now we can see that all our tests are passing 3 of 3 in success. So this is how you can run tests with Yeoman by getting for free a nice Karma configuration. The next thing that I wanted to show you is how Yeoman helps you by wiring your dependencies automatically. So in order to see that, we're going to add the local storage to our web application. So if we go here to the browser, look for local storage Angular, I find this Angular local storage module that I can use. So let's look at our index.html file. I'm going to show you how this Yeoman generator is embedding our power dependencies here. So this power section that you see here shows all our front-end dependencies like jQuery and Angular and Bootstrap affix, all the Bootstrap dependencies, and so on. until the end, Angular touch, similar Angular modules. So now I'm going to install this Angular local storage dependency using Bower, and you will see how the Yeoman setting is gonna automatically wire that dependency for me without me needing to do anything. So let's go to the console again. I'm gonna run Bower install, save, because I want to save that dependency as part of our project. And then I'm gonna write, let me see, because I don't know the name. Yeah, so you can see here, Angular local storage. So Angular local storage. And then Bower's gonna go and get dependency for me. If we now run cat in the bower.json file that describes our project dependencies, you're going to be able to see that we have the dependency here, Angular local storage. And when we go back to where I have Gran running, you can see that it has run the wire dep task, wire dependency task. And if I go back to the HTML file and I refresh it, you can see that now we have a new script tag here that is pointing to the Angular local storage. So this shows how Bower and Yeoman have injected this dependency into my project. Now I can start using it. So if I go to app.js and I add that new dependency to my application here, so local storage module, my app is now depending on this local storage module. I go to our controller, so it's main.js but not spec the script. And now in addition to our scope, I'm going to inject the local storage service. So it's a service. I'm going to inject the local storage service here, and now I can safely remove this and instead I'm going to obtain it from local storage quotes key. This is stored as a key value pair. Say quotes key, and then I call local storage service dot get me whatever you have by that key, or an empty array. And then whenever we create a new quote, we're gonna set that variable key value pair to scope quotes. And now we got it. Good. So now if we go back to the browser, we see that we have nothing here. Add a new one. Hello world, Yeoman. Can add another one. Hello world 2, Yeoman. And we refresh. They should be here. I'm just gonna refresh. We can see that they are still here. If we go to local storage in developer tools, go to resources, and then I go to local storage, this server, URI, and here we have quotes key, local storage quotes key, and then we have our data. So this is how we can easily install dependencies with Bower, and how Yeoman is going to wire those dependencies automatically for us, so we don't need to do it ourselves. The next thing that I wanted to show you, and the last, was how easy it is to prepare a production version of your app with Yeoman. Let's go to the command line again, and if we look at the Gran file, we're going to be able to see a build task that is composed by many other tasks. And you can see that we have a clean distribution folder, minify stuff, uglify stuff, and we're going to see what happens when we run the task. So if we run grant build, this build process to create the production version of our app is going to start. It's going to take a little bit. And when we're ready, we're going to have all these files in our distribution folder ready for deployment. So here we are, and you can see the execution time of the different tasks. And now if we start a server, my terminal is a little bit crazy. If we start a server, this time with HTTP server, a node lightweight server on the distribution folder, we can go to the 8080, so localhost 8080. Now we can see we have the same app with the same features, but this time if we look at the developer console, developer tools, and we're gonna go to sources, and now we see that we have only a script file for our scripts, vendor scripts, and styles, and you can see that everything is completely minified and uglified and so on. So you have all the vendor prefixes. So you can compare it to how this looks during development. So again, open the dev tools, and you can see how we have many scripts, like our structure of our app here. So this is how you can very easily create a production ready app with Yeoman. And that brings this introduction to Yeoman to an end. Thank you very much. Hope you have enjoyed. So today we've learned that how you can use Yeoman to improve your front-end development workflow, and how Yeoman can help you to scaffold a complete web app, scaffold smaller components, live preload, enable a very nice feedback loop where you can change stuff, see it changed in your browser, uh, enable a very nice TDD workflow where you can run your tests continuously and see that go through that red-green refactor loop very nicely, and how you can wire dependencies super easily, install new dependencies with Power and wire them automatically in your project, and finally how you can build a production ready app. So looking forward to create more content for you. The next step I will go looking deeper into Geo. So Merry Christmas and hope to see you soon. Bye.